Hi, I'm John of John's Carnivorous Plants, and this is my indoor nursery. Today, we're going to be talking about my predictions and thoughts about the carnivorous plant market moving into 2024. Oh man, the notes for this one are kind of lengthy, so here's hoping I can get through this pretty quick. So, the market is going to be shifting. Nepenthes have dominated the past few years, and for a few reasons, you're going to see likely a decrease in Nepenthes demand and pricing. We'll get to that in a minute. But first off, I say cheaper plants like Utricularia and Pinguicula are definitely going to see a decrease in price, mainly because they're the more accessible, they're the quicker to produce. You're going to see a bunch more people, especially as economic conditions start to fail and like get a little bit worse, because you can see like there's articles, oh, credit card debt is going up and all this other stuff right now. And yeah, it's not looking good because, people are paying more and more for living necessities like, gas, food, rent, etc. So there's not as much disposable income going around. So the cheaper plants are going to see an increase in demand, and I hope that there is an increase in production to meet that demand. Now, there is a demand that exists for carnivorous plants. Otherwise, I obviously wouldn't be making these videos and still wouldn't be running my business. But the pressure of inflation and the lower disposable income makes it so most of the average consumers can't buy them at the price points most people are selling them at. So, and it's similar to on how trading card games for the past year have been experiencing a quick deflationary effect in that there's not enough disposable income, so people aren't buying as much product. The newer product is staying on the market longer, and it's leading to prices to collapsing faster and faster. Just like that, we are going to start seeing pricing start decreasing for carnivorous plants because it isn't a necessary market. Like I'm not selling something that's a food item here. So in order to be more appealing to people who have less and less disposable income, pricing has to come down to accommodate. But we are going to see a very interesting effect. And mock my words, this will be in the next year to 2 years. As pricing comes down, there's a bunch of people who import large amounts of carnivorous plants from other nurseries around the world. We are going to start seeing a very, very negative effect on them because domestic production for things like Nepenthes and Helianthera are lagging compared to where they are elsewhere in the world. And a lot of people are just choosing to import as opposed to trying to shore up domestic production. As we see the pricing of these imports continue to rise due to inflation, and you have the deflationary pressure where the consumer is able to spend less and less, it means there is going to be a point of demand destruction, which I'm already starting to see it with Nepenthes, where they're going to start just sitting on the shelves longer. And because of that, inventory's got to move. If some of these trays sit for longer, I end up marking the price down. Likewise, if people's Nepenthes end up sitting on the shelf for them and they were wanting to sell them very quickly, they're going to end up taking a hit. Now, here's where we get into the very interesting problem. A lot of these importers have bought it at an inflated price. Price is coming down. At some point, the market is not going to be in equilibrium, in which the importer is going to be the person making the money. The people over here who are importing, the exporter, the importers are not going to be making as much money anymore, and essentially, because of demand destruction, have to slowly start selling at more and more and more of a loss. As that profit margin dissolves, you're going to see fewer and fewer people start importing Nepenthes in a large scale. This is going to hurt the domestic production and availability for Nepenthes. So I see that there's going to be a dip in demand, and then after a few years, it should start rising back up again, especially as they become more of an exotic thing on the market. There's not as many available. Therefore, people are like, ooh, this is awesome. So the price will slowly start creeping back up as it becomes more of a collector market. Now, there should be a large amount of consumers dropping out in the next year. As we have already seen with this year, people got into houseplants as a hobby back in COVID, and as they're not successful with houseplants. They're slowly starting to drop out of the hobby. I've noticed this in my efforts with the Carnivorous Plant Discord and also as a business owner that it seems most growers tend to have about a 6 to 8 month life cycle in the hobby. It's generally whenever they butt up against dormancy for the first time, that or winter, that whenever conditions change a bit, they start running into issues, and whenever they experience failure, they quit. So because of that, we see a turnover effect in the hobby, where I'd say roughly about 70% of the growers year after year are turning over. Doesn't mean people stay out of the hobby forever. Eventually, some do come back. And I'd imagine that it's probably like about a 6 to 10 year span of whenever somebody stops growing to, yeah, maybe I'll grab another Venus flytrap. Oh, maybe I'll grab another Nepenthes. Who knows? But I do notice that some people come back eventually. And that's an important thing to note is that a bunch of these people who have picked up the houseplant hobby during COVID and drop out, as time goes on, I'm going to bet it's probably going to be about closer to like 5 to 10 years in that range. You're going to see a bunch of them want to start picking up being green again. And it'll probably be right whenever the economic situation that is going on starts, correcting itself a little bit and people have a little bit more disposable income again. These are my predictions for 2024 and beyond. I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment for any suggestions for future videos. Please like and subscribe, helps out the channel. And if you want to talk plants, join the Carnivorous Plant Discord. If you want to buy plants and help support the channel, please go to my nursery. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching and happy growing.